Adam, what do you reckon? Should we kick off?
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it. Okay, cool. So you would have seen from Adam's messages, James Grafton is here with us today. And the intention is for me essentially to grill James for about 15 minutes and try and put him under some heat, hopefully. And then after that, we're going to go into probably 10 or 15 minutes of questions. So James and I had the opportunity to catch up end of last week, which was really good. And James shared with me what he does. And I know just from that conversation alone, he's a legit guy with some great experience. And in the half an hour I had with him, I picked up some really good insights. So we're hoping that James can give us an understanding of where he came from, what he's doing, and perhaps if you guys have got some particular questions, you can hit him with them at the end. So James, do you want to kick off and just give us an idea of how you got into the business you're in now, a bit of your origin story?
My origin story. Was that as a villain or as a hero? You know, it's always
Well, it's your choice. Ultimately, it's your choice. Yeah.
Yeah, my story's kind of boring, so I might race through a little bit. I actually was a physio originally. I started as a physio, graduated physio just over 10 years ago. And when I graduated, I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but I had a recent breakup, so I was no girlfriend, no kids, no worries. And I was just like, man, let's have a crack. So as a physio, I worked a few different jobs, but I actually started my own clinic as renting a room. That's how I actually started. Fast forward from there, after a couple of years of working out how to do sales fundamentally and be a physio, because I remember I was a new grad, I had no idea about how to actually be a technician at that time, so I had to learn that by scratch too. Fast forward 2 years, I went from myself to my own clinic, and I had about 5 team. 2 years after that, I jumped from 5 to 20, and 2 years after that, I jumped from 20 to 50. And then 2 years after that, I was like about 75, 80, and now I'm where I am today. That is Champion Health. So those clinics are still going. They still operate. I still own them all, but I don't actually have anything to do with them anymore. So I have general managers and stuff these days. And that team's well over 100 people. And it does well over 10 million now. So that's it. And on my journey, I got really annoyed with stupid shit, like some IT businesses and stuff. So I ended up making my own on the way. So I have my own IT businesses, and I have my own legal firms, I have my own accounting firms, and somewhere I realized I ran out of time, basically. So now I live vicariously through other people by coaching and consulting, because I don't have more time to build more businesses. So yeah, basically, if people ask me what do I do for a living, I say I build businesses for a living. I just love building businesses. I love teaching other people how to build it. It doesn't have to be as hard as you think, but people are missing fundamentals all the time.
Yeah. And I think that's really relevant for everybody we have here today. So, question for you: can you tell me the difference between a business that can scale and a business that is sort of doomed to plateau and not move?
Yeah, like, I mean, there's two sides to this question. There's a few aspects, but the big one is if you want to really single out why businesses plateau, the real answer is it's because of you. Businesses are a reflection of their owners. They're a reflection of your capability of learning, your willingness to go forward, and what your true motivations and wants are. Now, the other part of that is if you do have somehow all those things, all those behaviors, all that personality, and you still possess the right traits, the other problem is just your general knowledge fundamentally of how operations work and how businesses scale, because businesses don't scale by being the best biller or being the best salesperson. They scale on pushing the average standards slowly over time, up and up and up, because you can only scale on the average skill and the average process. That's how it works. You can't have superstars for everything because superstars come and go, and low performers you want to get rid of as fast as possible. So you can only scale on the average, and your average is directly related to how well you train people. Every scaling organization is a training organization, so don't forget that one.
Yeah, that's really good. And so, as a say a founder or a business owner, especially, I mean, I find in my business, I often get stuck doing work. How as a business owner, do you know whether you're moving towards progress and scaling, or whether you're stuck? It's interesting. From my perspective, some weeks I feel like I'm absolutely flying. We're building systems and processes, and things are coming together really well. And then for the next 2 weeks, we might feel like we're completely bogged down in operations and delivery and trying to get things done. And often the results of our work don't turn up immediately. So what's a way that people can use to understand what trajectory that they're on?
Yeah, it's a really good question and commonly done very poorly by small, micro, and medium businesses. In fact, most only large businesses have the right tools for this. You're actually looking at something called delayed indicators and leading indicators. There are two types of indicators. One has, you put a lot of effort in and the result is delayed, which means, you don't really know unless you're actually measuring those things very specifically. And specific businesses have particular indicators you're measuring, which most people aren't. And the other one is lead indicators. So lead indicators is looking ahead at your P&Ls, looking at your forecasts and considering your sales statistics and things like this. Like they can give you insight that you may be on track, but you may not actually see that, well, cash conversion cycle, the amount of money coming in to replace what you've actually billed, right? But commonly, like particularly ironically, accounting firms are particularly bad at this because they understand financials, but not actually the metrics that push success on how to get better team members, how to push utilization, how to have all these actual indicators going. I always find that quite ironic, but we can talk about that anytime.
No, I completely understand what you mean. Through my business, we work with financial teams, and they're very, very good at dotting the i's and crossing the t's, but often can't see the bigger picture they're moving towards. I completely agree. So, from a that founder perspective and those metrics that you're talking about, can you give us a bit of idea, maybe perhaps for a smaller end business doing maybe a mil, a couple of mil, and then perhaps how that changes as as businesses scale through time? What should they look for?
Well, I mean, the classic ones, if you're not measuring these few right now, you're going to struggle to even get past, say, 8 to 10 people in your business. So if you're not looking at your cash flow forecast, that is literally something you live and die by as a business owner. And the thing about cash flow forecasts, and I think this is poorly understood, is that really only the owners or leaders can run that properly. The reason being is, and I think the accountants here can attest to this, the reason being is as you get bigger and bigger, what your tax financials are versus what your true internal ledgers are, they're totally different things. And you're working off what money you actually have available, which is your internal financial documents. So even as you get bigger, if you're relying on your accountant for, their tax reports, that may not represent the true health of your business because they're trying to appease the ATO on your behalf to the best of their ability, but you don't necessarily see that, money on the paper. So you have to be very careful. So if you're not running a forecast, that's a big scaling issue for a lot of people. They don't know how to run a forecast properly. They don't know how to be conservative on their arrangements or predictions, and that really leads to a lot of disaster. That being said, you also want to be measuring very carefully. We call it a test and measure or your lead gen statistics. Where are your leads coming from? Are you tracking them every week? Are you actually trending them? Do you know where you put effort, where you get more work? That's really important. And if you have a service-based business, you probably need to run some statistics on how likely and how often do you get new team members. So we have recruitment marketing, we have lead gen marketing, you have your cash flow forecast. That's service businesses in a nutshell. If you don't know how many people you are getting in, don't know how many people you need before you have to get another team member, you're in a problem. You're going to have a bad day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Products are
that's
a little bit more detail oriented. You'll run different margins and cogs and stuff for products and things like that. But once again, you got to run your cash flow forecast. You just got to review your P&Ls very carefully and understand your margins. All business decisions are ultimately financial decisions. That's really what they are. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Last time I checked, you went NPO and stuff like that. So NFP and everything. So
It makes a lot of sense. And so that's a great one. And like it's not something you hear a lot about, attracting great talent. Can you dive into that one a little bit? Because it's probably something a bit unusual, I would say.
yeah, well, I would say this is the most commonly sought after solution people ask for from like proper coaches. People really confuse recruitment. They think recruitment's a magical thing, like, let's go get a recruiter and they'll find us the magical talent. No, it's not that at all. Your team is a reflection of what your service, values, and company stand for. So, if you don't have good marketing and you don't know how to talk to the audience that is going to be the right congruency for your business, you've got a problem. And ultimately, if you haven't mastered a recruitment path, like you haven't become a real predictable producer of a new team member from, like, say, Seek, for example, you don't really have a scalable business yet because it's always based on predictability. You might have some predictable sales for lead gen, but if you don't have a predictable pathway for a new proper team member, like high quality team members, you're going to be anchored very quickly. Use it. It's just marketing. Marketing is just the ability to communicate with the audience you want. That's all marketing is. People get really worked up about sales and marketing. It's just communication.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And okay, so this is getting into some finite detail here, which I think is really good. So that's from a people quality perspective. What about early days for founders from a lead gen perspective? Do the two cross over?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you pick any medium to recruit. I mean, you could do word of mouth, you could do local Facebook group pages, you could do Seek, you could do Indeed. Like, it doesn't matter. Pick a medium. The problem people have on their scale is they can't produce predictable results. So pick one, and whatever one you get some traction on, just get much better at it. You only have to be better than everybody else. And typically for the size you're growing, until you're a medium-sized business or higher, you only need to be good at one pathway because you only need typically one or two new team members at a time. You'll get a batch of like 20, right? So if you don't suck at it in one pathway, you'll get one or two. You know, it's not that hard. Like, I can write one Seek advert, say for a physio, right? This is like I worked on a long time ago. The way you write an advert and the way you communicate to the audience, I can write one advert for a physio, which currently is a high demand market and it has a big shortfall in Australia, but I get 100 applicants. 100. Competitors will get like 40. It's not that we're massively different because of brand awareness. It's just because it's written differently. We write for a very particular audience. We write for a very particular gap. You know, that's nothing special. Like, it's just we've really refined that. We spent a lot of time working that one pathway, right? Yeah. So as we got bigger, you need to add and master a few of them. But really, even as a large business, you only need 2 or 3 proper recruitment pathways, and you have the team you need. That's just how it is. You don't need to be good at everything.
Yeah, and that's a really strong point. And so, talking about being good at everything, what do you see from the founders who have a quick growth, within their business, and they're able to build the scaffolding behind themselves to be able to support that, and founders who may also have fantastic opportunity and great sales, but they fail to build that scaffolding? Like, what is it that really props them up?
Which one? Which one do you want to answer
Oh,
first?
yeah, the first. We want to, yeah. So what is it that great founders do in that scenario where they're scaling and they're able to create that foundation behind them as they move through time, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to work out the question. I mean, really, you're describing what great entrepreneurs do. Great entrepreneurs are people who identify and build the first rungs of the ladder, but they're not necessarily always the detailed people. Great entrepreneurs play to their strengths. Typically, most entrepreneurs who scale a lot, they do a lot of work, they have a high work ethic, but actually they suck at details. So they really need to find managers who can fill the details for them. So it's a team effort. You'll never get beyond yourself. You need to have a good team. Like I'm a chronic business builder, right? I'm awesome at building anything. I can strategically find any gap. I can build any framework. I can do all those things, right? But if you make me go over that detail too many times, I'll just get bored and I'll get really annoyed. Now that's okay. Over the years, I've gotten more patient. I'm really good, like coaching, no problems. I'll coach anyone. That's fine. But for my own businesses, I have to go and find good team members who understand, like, hey, I love you for the detail orientation you have and the patience you have for other people and train them. But that's not me. Like, I'll do it as a necessity, but you'll find like I'll start procrastinating. It's not my greatest strength. There's no point. Like, I'll get my weaknesses to a reasonable standard, but at the end of the day, like, your business stylistically is going to be a reflection of your greatest strengths. So don't do things you're not good at because that's not going to like get you where you want to go. You only do it to the point you need it to go, so it doesn't anchor you down for your strength.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's
that makes a lot of sense.
commonly misdone. Like, people are like, oh, I've got to be good at everything. I'm like, no, you've got to be competent at most things and be really good at one or two things that you like doing.
Yeah, and then fill the gap with people.
Yeah,
So
my specialty was always delegating. I was always excellent at seeing the strategy, finding the gap, finding the right talent for it, and putting people there. But if you need someone who's like, if you need like a micromanager, that wasn't me. I wouldn't micromanage you. I'd be like, man, you're smart enough to do this. Off you go. I'll check in on you in a month. And that obviously burned me a few times. I had to learn too.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about that from a delegation perspective? I, for one, have trouble handing over things, whereas some of the people that I know in business are very, very good at it. Can you dive into that a little bit and talk about delegation and how it works?
Yeah, delegation's a range of different understandings of how people can actually help you, and depending on your personality style and your beliefs and values, you'll start with some barriers. They're just different for everyone. The most common ones are people think that delegation is abdication, which just means you think that you just give everything to somebody and they have a go. But actually, delegation is just a sliding ratio. all that means is like, so the first time I show you the task, right, I'm going to do 9% of the task still, you're going to do 10%. But over time, I'm going to do 80, you're going to do 20, I'm going to do 60, you're going to do 40, I'm going to do 40, you're going to do 60, until it's as minuscule as possible, but I'm still going to do 1% or 0.1% or 0.00. I'm still going to do something. And that's the thing. Okay. It's a sliding scale. Like even a CEO, if they don't check once in a blue moon, a grass level facing the public technician, if they don't check once in a blue moon, how do they know people are even following any remote process? How do they check their leadership structures and everything going through the business? They probably didn't. The businesses, as they scale, they fall apart. They don't have the humbleness to be like, hey, let me just go check a random role to quality check a different leader, a different middle manager, or a different skill and process. Are we on track? Do we have congruency? Does it flow through the channels of business? And often it doesn't, right? Welcome to bureaucracies. But that's the key. The key is how well can you keep the water flowing in a business? Business is arguably just the same as being in kindergarten. Can you flow the water with the boat on it? That's all it is. Can you direct it?
Makes a lot of sense. Yes, speaking of floating boats, so you've got a framework that I know that you believe in that works really well. Can you run us through your framework a little bit and how that functions?
Well, my framework is all about mastering the fundamentals of business. There are just specific fundamentals you have to understand, like how to write sales, marketing, understand how they actually strategically work on a macro point of view. You don't have to be an expert at all the minuscule minor stuff. I mean, that's why you pay people full time to be experts at just SEO and just SEM and just AI. Like that's why you pay people full time. But you have to understand, how does it fit in the picture? How does this work for my business generally? How can this be of value to me? That's really the fundamentals people are missing. They don't understand general HR requirements. They don't understand how management structures work. That's the most common. Like people can't scale because they don't have any managers properly. They don't know how to train a manager. They don't know what a manager does. They don't know the difference between their technicians and their managers. They have a lot of blended and transitional roles as they scale, and they never get out of them. And that just pulls them back and back and back. And they just get angry with these people and stuff like that. But they never taught them. They weren't sure. Like I didn't realize the role had KPIs. I didn't know that and stuff. There are just fundamentals. So do I call it a framework? No, there are just fundamentals that have long been done that I basically hone people in on. I go, hey, you haven't got this, 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 this. These are the things that take you to that next level. It's not as hard as you think it has to be. And I usually give them resources and I talk you through it with your own personal style. I give you a lot of education around it. That's usually how it goes. I do bespoke coaching. So it's to your individual style, to your strength. It's resilient that way. If I just gave you a cookie cutter framework, you're going to burn that pretty fast when you get distracted by something else. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And so, one thing you highlighted really well is that business it's a complex playing field. There's many different nuances to it, and it changes its shape all the time. So, around those systems, is it something like mindset and systems coming together to make it work?
I mean, it's always the art and science, right? Fundamentally, you've got to have processes and systems, and you've got to understand how things fit. But the art is in the execution of those things. Like, how well do you communicate with team members? How do you manage the narrative of the culture, or how well do you manage the narrative of the managers? Those are all the skills that people talk about all the time. Like, I can show you how to write a Seek advert. I can give you a template for a really great one that's the top 1%, right? But if I asked you to reproduce that, you wouldn't have the skill. And you could ask AI, and AI wouldn't be able to help you that much. You still got to understand strategically how these things work and why they work. So that's where the intersection is. You got to understand fundamentals first, and then next is like, okay, well, what level do you need to have the art, the technical skill to actually get what you want?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think AI as a knowledge source only goes so far, especially it's at the individual level. Beyond that, there's so much more that can be done with it. But what about warning signs in a business? Is it something that business leaders should be looking for at various stages to understand? There's potentially a cliff coming.
I mean, if you talk about recession proofing, like the current need we have, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been the rise of the war for a long time. Look, I think a lot of people concern themselves with macroeconomics, and that's really not the level you're playing at unless you're a medium or large business. Like those policies, unless you're doing contract work, or you specifically have a niche business that deals with like government bodies, it's really not that important to a lot of people. the changes aren't going to massively affect your $1 or $2 million business. So I think, to be honest, like, yes, are there warning signs? Absolutely. But are they worth delving into for like those people from 0 to 10 million? Not really, in my opinion, unless you just do government contracts, then it would matter. I know that didn't answer
Yeah.
your question, but I don't think it's that important to talk about. So
No, it's good. I like it. No, it's really good. And I
I think
completely
I think
agree.
a better thought. I think a closing thought, Bobby, just about AI, like just to remind you, like if you don't have business fundamentals in AI, you can't use AI well. It's as simple as that. Like if you don't know like what structure the advert should look like or what the benefits are, and you can't use the feedback it gives you, AI is useless to you. You're just doing what like employees do, and they like run the emails through AI and they give you an AI response back to the boss. It's nuts. People do that for ages, and people are trying to crack down on it now. But it's just so stupid. You removed all the trust, you removed all the communication, you just outsource your thinking to something that never actually learns what humans do or the way we interact or the way we have fun.
Yeah,
Got to
no, and
understand the playing field.
it's a great topic. I completely agree with you, and I've got a scenario at the moment with a operations manager who was essentially taking business data and then putting it into a ChatGPT Teams account, and would essentially dump the data in there and say, "Hey, can you please generate a monthly report so I can distribute it through to the senior leadership team?" He was then taking that report, distributing it amongst the whole team, and I was seeing that report at the same time. And essentially, what's happened over a period of maybe 4 or 5 months is it's completely eroded away the trust of the ownership of the business from him because there's so much padding, in this report and kind of flowery language that was trying to give, like ChatGPT was clearly kissing his ass and was framing up this report in a way that made it sound amazing, but once we drilled down into the data, it was primarily just bullshit. And what it's done is it's essentially showed the senior leadership team that this guy who's great, he's amazing, like he's so good, but he just got trapped by AI. And then he's presented these facts, and people have acted on these facts, especially from a budgeting and finance perspective, and they've made the wrong decisions because they've just trusted this thing that's hallucinating. It's absolute junk if it's used incorrectly.
I'm sure Tim and the other accountants who sit in here are just cringing at all the questions they get from people that are AI generated. You're like, mate, you don't even know what a trust is. Just be quiet. It's better to look dumb and let the people actually help you than to just think you can ask AI and pretend to be smart. That's just my opinion. I prefer to look dumb than to pretend I know something about nothing. So
Yeah, agreed. Then to let ChatGPT make it up for me and trust that ChatGPT is getting it right.
well, it's just
Yeah,
like all the legal documents people are trying to roll with ChatGPT now. That's entertaining.
yeah, I know the courts are absolutely stuffed with it, which is another issue as well. But so have you are there some pointers you can give from like an early stage founder? Maybe a founder who's getting some traction. There's some guys in the room here who definitely fit that mold. Can you give some tips in regard to perhaps things to look out for or what they can do, that's maybe slightly outside of the mold?
I mean, top tips. I mean, there's only one secret to business. Do you want to know what the secret is?
Yeah.
Fail as fast as possible and get a coach.
Fail as fast as possible, get a coach.
Yep. If you generally want to get somewhere in your business, the only people who get where they want to go are the ones who are humble enough to eat humble pie and be like, yep, that was stupid. And they were smart enough to go and ask a question and go learn from someone else who's done it. I did that. I had a coach. His name's Brad Flynn. We're still good friends today. When I first started my first couple of years, I had a coach. He was a really great coach from 0 to 10 people. And I very quickly outpaced that fast. But he was a great coach because he taught me some fundamentals of thinking. And I really took that and ran with it. So, like, if I was he worth the price I paid? It felt like a lot of the time, but like now I reflect, I'm like, man, I paid like 2 years, maybe 60 or 70K for that coach, and my business transformed from him of like 600K, like 2.5 million. Like, what's the 60K then? I tell people all the time, I'm like, coaching might seem scary, and if it didn't seem scary, well, you weren't really interested in growing, were you? You're just going to stay the same. If you don't have a little bit of butterflies and you like go, man, I want what this person has, you're probably not ready to actually hit the new levels because you're not willing to do things you've never done before. And the only way to get from the next level is to do the things you've never done before. Good
Yeah,
coaches push you, but they hold your hand. They push you, but they hold your hand.
yeah, I completely agree with that. And failing fast and learning quick. Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, I was in my mid-30s when I got into business for the first time. And the guy that I am now and who I was then, two different dudes. He represented frail, so he was miserably for so long. That it's been, I'm a much better version of myself now than I was for then. But with that in mind, can you look back to before you had a business? And is there anything that you would tell James then?
Before I had a business, I mean, don't go out that girl, don't do that party,
It's a good one.
just
It's a
shoot
good
with
one.
shit.
Yeah.
No, look, I love, yeah, I love the business journey. Like, business is the ultimate self-development tool. If you truly embrace it and you take it for what it is, you will become the best version of yourself. That's just my opinion. Yeah, like other top tips I give people all the time is I'm like, just the way to know if you're going too fast in a business is if you actually haven't checked the numbers and made an average trend. If you can't prove you got something that's predictable, you haven't mastered that. That's where most people get stuck. They're like, oh yeah, we're getting so many leads. I'm like, you're getting leads for only the last 4 weeks, and the rest of the year you've had none. Are you really scaling, or have you just hit a little random lucky streak? People forget that all the time. Like, when you take a moment to think, and timelines are really important in business. It's not just 30 days. It's often quarters. 2 to 3 months at a time. Review them, not data. Check it out. If you don't like reviewing data, man, go find a team member that loves to review data and get their help. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers decision every time. If you don't like data, you better start learning to use Claude and Excel or something and get some actual proper data and interpret that and understand it. You don't need a lot of math, but you do need some grade 4 math, and you do need to interpret a bit of data. That's really important. Really important.
Yeah.
If you
Brilliant.
can't do it, outsource it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, we might go through to some questions soon, but James, is there anything else you would like to put out there before we roll the questions?
I mean, no, I could talk all day. I could talk for hours. I spend all day talking and run meetings for life. No, I mean, they're my big tips. Like, find someone who's done what you want to do, learn from them, pay the price. It's worth it. Anything you pay, like, remember, if you make one tweak to your business and you make an extra 50K from that person, that's not 50K that year. That's 50K every year in business forever.
Yeah.
Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, getting a coach is, if I could find a coach that could actually coach me that was like bigger than a lot of businesses and was serial entrepreneur, I would definitely have a coach right now. Now I have people I talk to regularly, but I wouldn't say they're my coach. We just exchange skills, and they're great. They're super invaluable, right? But if I had the option, I found someone like that, maybe they do exist. If I did, I would definitely be paying them. It doesn't matter what they cost.
Makes
If
sense.
they're good, I'm gonna multiply 5, 10 times, absolutely. And yeah, if you're are you truly making progress? Review your averages. Are you really making progress? Have you got something predictable? If you don't have a predictable lead gen and a predictable recruitment channel, you don't really have a service business. Because the only next step after those two things, which by the way will take you to about 6 to 8 people, the next step for a service business is, do you have a management training structure? And that takes you from 8 to 15 to 20 people. They're the 3 things that get you to 20 people for a service business. Those 3 elements. That's it. Then the next one is just, what is your core operational strategy then? That takes you from 20 to 50, and your expansion strategy. And then it's about refining all the HR stuff after that. And that's all very boring because, that's not a lifestyle business anymore. And for most people, don't aim to be big. Aim to have the life you want. Have a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business is 6 to 8 fee earners. You go to work 1 or 2 days a week. You make 3 to 400K profit. That is a good life, because that is here, and the next level of business is there, like the 50-person mark. Between here and here is the valley of death. And 98% of businesses die in a valley of death. They do. They try to get to the next level, and it's not like fun. It's, you lose money fucking for 2 years before you can get to the next level. That's something that no one ever talks about. That the valley of death is a very real thing, and it doesn't ever end. Like, businesses that to that level, then it's to that level, then it's to that level. The valleys of death always exist. Now they do get shallower as you get bigger because you can absorb more, but they still exist. Businesses die all the time in valleys of death. So is it really worth it? Do you really want to lose $2 million and all your sanity for 2 years to make an extra 400K a year profit? I'm kind of an anti-coach sometimes, because I'm like, man, is that really what you want? I have clients who are like, oh, I want to get from like 20 people now to like 70. I'm like, we can do that, but do you know the cost? There will be a cost.
Yeah.
Lost plenty of
Very
money.
well said.
I've been through those plenty of times.
Yeah, nice. That's great insight. That's really, really interesting. Now, I'll open it up to everybody else. I'm sure the guys have got some questions.
Yeah, fire away.
Anybody like to ask James a question? About you,
Oh,
Adam?
man, don't come as a stampede, eh?
No, it's always a bit funny at the start. You give them 5 minutes, these guys are going to warm up. Trust me.
That's okay.
I'll say something to start. I'm a client of Champion Health, James's primary business, and it is fantastic. So I've had a lot of you guys would know my story, and I had a bunch of issues that I needed a physio for, and James has personally helped me, and I've also met his staff, and I've gone into his gym in his facility, and it's fantastic. It's a really well run operation. So just wanted to say that. So he has actually done it. Where there's a lot of coaches in the group who are theoretical, and James has actually done it, and I've seen it in person. So and been a beneficiary of the business. So just want to say that. So well done, James.
Thanks for that. I mean, the interesting part about that is, for Adam, he's been to that business, right? That's actually just my biggest workforce business, not my biggest money business. If I want to make money, I go pick one of my other businesses. And that business does over 10 million a year. And that's just a big workforce. It doesn't have the biggest margins. I can go make money doing way different businesses that are way easier with way less people.
And you deliberately have the lowest margins, like so you're bulk billing,
Correct.
whereas I think you're one of the only. I mean, there'd be maybe 1% of physios that are bulk billing, which is just insane. And I can't it's a testament to how well it's run to make it profitable on such a small margin.
I mean, that's a whole different discussion. There are drawbacks. No matter what business you do and way you want to do it, there's always pros and cons. The bulk billing model in allied health is very rare now, but only because people don't understand business. We don't have to pay marketing costs because we have bulk billing. So they even themselves out in different ways, right, from an operational point of view. So we could dissect that. I've actually just recently done a podcast actually last week on that for a whole hour talking about how that model works. Yeah, but yes.
It's really interesting. How does the model work? I'm interested by that. So I take it a lot of physios and doctors have moved away from the bulk billing model, but is there potentially an advantage in it?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't pay any marketing costs. The cost per acquisition of a new client is like $2. So we have endless clients who need help, who then get to see the help they need with no wait. We get to train more and more people. Now we don't only do bulk billing. We do every other funding scheme. Not everything is the basic Medicare. Just for a reference, it's actually $60 the government pays back roughly for a physio session. It's nothing, but a private fee is like 130, right? But for us, we take that 60 and we go, hey, like let's train our other team members, or let's give people equal access to very skilled professionals. They can then understand the value that they didn't have before, and then you guys will probably pay privately because you'll have seen a physio who actually understands what the problem is, or a psych who actually understands your problem. We are basically the catch-all for people who have seen 3, 4, 5 physios, psychs, doctors, whatever. We're the ones who actually have the complex skills. We go, hey, you've actually been treated like shit. They all lied to you. This is actually how we're going to do it. And we show you results. What do? You have buy-in then, don't you? So our lifetime value is much higher. We love proving how good we are. The bulk billing is only for a few sessions. That's what breaks people's minds. But we're really good at what we do. And we have awesome teams that work. Because, so you guys don't know, but typically a physio clinic or a psych clinic, you only get a few rooms, right? That's how those things work. The clinic Adam's talking about is our clinics are big clinics. They're 600 square meters. They have a gym on site. They've got, 20 consult rooms. They've got, a pediatrics room. Like they're big clinics. They're not small little things. Like people are walking out of there all day long. And that's what we're so good at. We're like, hey, you've got whatever issue you got. We need to go talk to the dietitian or the psych or the GP on site or the OT or the speech. Like we just pull them in as a multidisciplinary team, like the way hospitals should work is what we do privately. Yeah, so it's the ultimate convenience model is the way we describe it, and it's not bulk billing. Bulk billing is just the easy way to get in to basically try the product and go, yeah, this is right. It's like just try this karage chicken. I'm going to walk past the store and you're like, man, this tastes good. So what do? And you go and buy it. Yeah, as if you would. Yeah, like what's the ultimate testament to a business is like just try it. If it doesn't work for you, what's the risk to you? That's all bulk billing is. We want to be good. We prove it. That's the best part about it. But obviously, the USP there is we're very efficient, have very strong operations. We have highly skilled people with a lot of training programs that we've built over 10 years. Yeah, we could break that down. It's like a 2-hour seminar, that one.
No, it's really good. It's really good. I'm definitely thinking about myself. It's almost like a loss leader. It's not, but get them in the door and then prove that you're the best. I really like that. It's a great framing of it. Rather than just having a scattergun effect and expecting the best. It's a good idea.
Well, the alternative in medical is you have to niche, and it's like very specific. Like you must then become the headache physio or very, very specific stuff. And it's like, man, like they all say they do that. And if you've ever gone to them, you're like, oh man, like I didn't get anything. And you paid like $400 because they were premium niches. And you walk away really annoyed. And you're like, man, I thought I saw the headache guru. And you're like, no, they're just a guy who said they were really good at headaches because of marketing. They weren't actually good at it. So we go the other way. We go, hey, give it a go. If we do a good job, we deliver what we promise, what do you want to do? Of course, you'll be like, yeah, I'm going to keep going. I've got an 80% improvement. It's a no-brainer.
James has a large team too. And that was something I noticed, James, is you've got different guys who have a personal interest in something, but because you've got such a big team that it does sort of cross over where they do specialize.
Absolutely, yeah. We have like pediatric physios, vestibular physios, hand physios, work physios,
nutrition.
Yeah, psychologists that just do trauma, psychologists that just do kids, psychologists that just do geriatric dementia, and like any specialty. We pretty much do everything. But we don't talk about it like that. We go, hey, whatever your issue is, we will find the right pot of a team for you, personalized for all of your issues, and they will look after you, and they will prove it with a treatment plan. Are you cool with that?
Is that why Adam's still a client of yours because you haven't fixed him yet?
No, Adam's still a client because he never listened to anything I say, but also I'm not a clinician anymore, so.
He's going to keep cycling through different rooms. Just keep putting him through different rooms. Yeah, cool. Hey, guys, any other questions? Anything specific? Feel free to mention your own business and a problem that you've got, something that you would love to. I mean, James obviously, very open. He's going to hit you right where it hurts, which I think is probably what we need.
I've got a question.
Jonathan, fire away.
Yeah, so looking back on your journey, so when you started, is this kind of where you plan to be 10 years down the track, having like a massive clinic, or you just went there and said, I'll just get another clinician and step by step, or how did the journey evolve?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Not many people ask me that question. They always ask, like, did you have the vision? And the answer is no. I was just like, man, I just need to make more money this year. Hey, like,
that's the question. Yeah.
I think a vision is silly until it's self-perpetuating. To be honest, like most people are trying to be like, hey, I just want to make more money for my family. I want to have more time. I want to go on travel. I want to have a life. Like, I think until you're kind of being predictable and you kind of have to start hitting your goals, you start, hitting your strides in your business, it's kind of hard to have a vision. That's just my opinion, because you're kind of in survival mode. Now, there are the occasional people who have a vision that have capital investors, but I think if you're an organic, solo director, sole owner, your vision's going to be very much survival until you hit survival. And once you stabilize, then you might have a vision. But now, to be honest, even after all this time and having quite a number of big businesses and a lot of business at the moment, even my bigger businesses, I go, hey, it's really up to the next baton holder. Hey, GM, CEO, how far do you guys want to go? Because I'm not the one spending 80 hours grinding anymore on those things. Now, they're not doing that, but like once upon a time, like I've done those startup hours. I don't want to go grind it through. I want to do it smart. And if smart means I have a restricted growth phase, great. I don't care, because what's an extra 200K going to be when you earn like 2-3 million profit a year? Like, it doesn't matter. You get to a point, it doesn't matter. Money becomes very relative. That's just my opinion. It's a good question.
Great question. Who's next?
I've got one. This is a bit more general.
Jason, do it.
Just to loop back towards your point about recruitment, and especially more for a business that's early doors. When do you admit maybe you made a mistake on recruitment and pull the band-aid and get rid of someone, or when do you focus down on training and improving?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of easy answers to this. You'll be pleased to know. Your probation period is your biggest buffer in Australia. it should be the maximum. It should be 6 months. If you have anything less than 6 months, you're hurting yourself as a business owner. Now, if you're under 10 staff, you do have some available options of HR where they're not going to penalize you for getting rid of somebody. So please, stay small and learn your mistakes of HR as fast as you can.
So that's even
There
after
is-
the 6-month period. So if they're 2 years in and you've decided you had enough, you still have protections if you're under 10 employees.
Yes, Australia does have some nice protections for very small businesses, but if you get past that, yeah, it's not good practice to rely on that, to be honest. You should have good HR systems regardless. The answer is simple. If you don't have clear job role for them and you don't have a clear KPI and what you're expecting them to do, you need to performance manage them. And the reality of growing a business is people don't grow with you. You're going to start with somebody and they're going to be a stepping stone because your training skills get better, your expectations get higher, your systems get better. That's just how it goes. Like, people just don't grow with you. I actually had to turn over a full C-suite leadership team 1 year. I lost $2 million. I had to turn over a whole C-suite. It was a very painful 2 years, incredibly painful. It was super important because they were absolutely fucking the business up. And I got through it and I replaced them all and I totally consolidated up and got them back under control. But it was really important because if I wanted to get further and get my life back and get whatever that I could get out of that business, I had to do it. Yeah, so you do need to do it. And for early business owners, like, you'll know if someone's not a right fit. If you don't have the role clarified yet, you don't know what KPIs they have yet, then at least trust your gut a little bit and at least have a regular meeting to be like, hey, show me what you've been working on. If you don't have a regular pulse, you don't have any comparison. So please have a regular pulse, even if it's just once a month, even if that's all you can handle. It's got to be a good half an hour and be like, hey, tell me what your priority is, what are you working on, how much time are you spending on it, and then you go check how much you're paying them. You go, was that worth $2,000 a week or $2,000 a fortnight? Was that worth it? Go ask yourself that. That's the novice's way of doing it, but at least you got an idea then. But the answer is, I would quickly look at the role, be like, hey, what's their utilization? What are they paid for? Show you their KPIs, and you'd be like, wow, I didn't realize I was so underutilized. I'd be like, yeah, they're just kind of destroying space. You can either train them then, be like, hey, you need to raise 5%, 10% on utilization, whatever it may be, or there you go to go. That's it. You got to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool.
Second, Jason. Second.
Well, look, I think from a management point of view, you've got to always be curious first. Like, if you haven't given everyone all the support you can possibly give, have you really trained them properly? And that's really important. I always go the other way. I go, hey, tell me why you're doing it this way. If I notice the data doesn't make sense, I'm like, hey, you're paid 30 hours a week, but your time diary says 20. Like, can you just let me know, like, what's the difference? Where's the 18 hours going? And if they can't explain that to me, I go, hey, well, I'm going to start filling you with more hours. And they go, I'm going to keep a very close eye on your time diary now. Because as soon as I start measuring someone, I'm actually managing them. If you're not measuring it, you're not managing, are you? So I go be honest. I go, hey, look, I really paid attention. Show me where you're at. What's going on? Okay, look, your hours don't make sense. What's the discrepancy? If they can or can't answer, they go, hey, if you can't, that's fine. But now I want to see this, this, this. Then I review them again. Okay, where's your time diary? If they're improving, well, I'm not going to get rid of them. I'd be like, well, that might be my bad because I didn't give them direction. I didn't show them what to do. First, you get the data, then you make the informed decision. You don't just sack people straight away. You go, hey, like, you're either going to improve or not. Team members are your best asset. They always will be. If you're a service business, they're your best asset. But you need to control and set expectations and realize that, for every hour they're not doing meaningful work, you're paying them for that. So you better be on top of them for it. Yeah, that's a good discussion point, Bobby. Thanks for bringing up the second part. Yeah, I actually am a bit anti just sacking people straight away. Yeah. I think it has to be done, but I think I'm always curious first. I actually have a seminar on this. There's a RAP protocol for managers, but I always get curious first. I go and address the gap and I work out what are we expecting? What do we agree on collaborative today? You're being paid an extra 15 hours. What do I need to see out of that? You'd be surprised. I'd say about 70-80% of people, when you're clear about what you want and what you're expecting, they actually step up. They're like, all right, well, you didn't tell me that. Didn't know. Now I know. And I go, my bad for not telling you. That's because I'm a shit manager. Better get clear again. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, it's a really
you're spinning plates, Jason. It's always a balance of spinning plates, isn't it?
Yeah.
The trick is to do a pulse that you can manage regularly. Even just once a month, even just once every 2 or 3 months when you're starting up, because you've got so many things going on, like you're wearing your sales hat and you're wearing your networking hat and you're wearing your, your operations hat and your financial hat, and like you forgot about your managing your team part. that's okay, but do our meeting regularly. At least put in diary once a month if you can manage for half an hour or 2 months. Do something. Be consistent.
That's good. Anybody else? Anybody else got any questions?
I'll just jump in and say, look, one of my biggest mistakes was not getting some coaching when I first started business. Because I generally in the accounting space, a lot of people start business because they're good at it, and they start hiring and think, well, people should naturally pick it up as like you thought, like you did. And I kept people for too long. Try to fit, round plugs into square holes. And with business coaching, I definitely would have done that. So I reckon the first 2, 3, 4 years, I was just doing the wrong thing in terms of staff, because basically I had no idea. So, yeah.
It's a skill. You'll never master business. Whilst it's my greatest pleasure of trying to master it, I mean, I know the reality is master it. Mastery to me is I can take any business in any industry in any part of the world and make it grow. That's what I think mastery is. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go bankrupt sometimes. Still a numbers game occasionally. Still make bad choices. Still rely on bad things, or get distracted by my kids or my family, or things happen, right? Yeah.
Hey Tim, on that one, can you give us a bit of insight? I mean, 3, 4 years is a long time. So you must have then hit, perhaps a period where things became more organised. Whether it's in your mind or in the business. Can you give us a little insight into that one? That might be a nice window to hear how you went early days.
Yeah, so I guess like recruitment was an important part of it, and prior to starting business, I had been managers in firms, but never done the recruitment side, and never really managed the HR side as well. So, and to be honest, probably being a bit too nice as a business owner, trying to just continually train people and just not getting anywhere, thinking, oh, they'll finally get it. And I reckon I hired probably like Stuart, my main guy. He's been with me for 7 years, but the next hires, and I nailed that one straight up, but the next ones after that were off. So, and for instance, I probably had someone for 2 years and it was 18 months too long. Next guy, same thing, 2 years, probably should have pulled the pin 6 months in. And after that, I sort of learned that, look, these are the type of people and with the type of skills and experience I need, rather than getting people that I thought could fit in but didn't have the necessary experience to fit into that role.
So Tim, there is a fundamental here for you to know. I'm going to put in a sentence for you. You never ever hire people on potential. You only hire them what they bring right now. I've made that mistake a lot, so I want to share that one with you. Yeah, never hire on potential. Like, oh yeah, they seem really clued on, but they're a new grad. They've actually never worked in the workforce. Well, then I don't know if they're ever going to hit that potential. You're not responsible for that.
I mean, I was at the opposite end where you put a manager on and she starts, she's got no idea. So you think, well, she's got 20 years experience. How has she survived this long? You start doing the training and yeah, it gets nowhere. So yeah. I think
so fundamentally that means in your recruitment process you haven't skills tested properly and you haven't screened them properly. That's what it means. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So we changed it up and we actually give our candidates tests now to do.
Oh, you need to test all candidates. It doesn't matter if they got experience or not. You test everyone. Because what you're really testing in recruitment is, what am I working with? It's okay if you're new to the workforce or you're 20 years experience, but what am I working with? Because I don't want a 20-year experience who's just as bad as a new grad. That happens in physio all the time. There's like a 20-year experience physio, and they are sillier scientifically than the new grads coming out of uni, and that's pretty bad. Like, some of the new grads don't know anything, but they want 150k base. It's nuts. Yeah, so we always
20 years in the industry, like, it just astounds me.
Generally, it's because they can sell themselves an interview, and most businesses run a very poor recruitment schedule. You got to remember, business is done poorly by like 95% of the industry. And most of the industry is fragmented. It's controlled by some micro and small business owners who never get beyond themselves, never beyond 3 people. That is a lot of service-based professional service in Australia. So yeah, it's easy to lie to a person who doesn't know any better because they've got no robust recruitment systems. They don't check KPIs. They don't review you after the probation period. It's already gone, and they're like, well, They always have an excuse for why they're not hitting the markers, and they've run those excuses plenty of times with multiple businesses. And now you can see how it spirals. They do 2 years here, 2 years there, it just keeps going.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of resumes like that. Absolutely.
Yep.
Hey, Glenn,
Hey, Bobby.
how you going?
Well, good, mate.
You've been very, a little bit quiet, man. I thought I'd hit you up. Is there anything you
Nah,
want to
good, mate. Doing a lot of listening.
Okay, yeah, that's good, mate. I thought I should ask, I thought I should ask. What about you, Sam?
I've got one. With regards to recruitment again, actually, since it seems to be a hot topic, when do you think, or do you have an opinion on whether it's better to advertise for talent or whether you look at poaching? Is it for certain roles? Are you looking for the higher management when you're poaching? Is there any logic or framework around that?
Yeah, it depends where people are reading the messages in your industry. If I'm a doctor, I'm probably not jumping on Seek, am I? I'm probably getting directly messaged through LinkedIn or recruiters, right? They're going to be your two main avenues because that's the culture of that industry. If I'm a lawyer, I may be looking at Seek if I'm a junior, but if I'm a senior, I won't. The good people generally aren't looking for work. They're getting directly messaged and relationship managed and poached over time. It depends what level you're looking at. So yeah.
Yeah, but typically you'd say for those high level operators, it dropped out on my there. Did you get that? Sorry,
Just dropped out there for a second.
Just for the high level operators, you're typically looking at a poaching relationship type approach rather than advertising. You would generally say.
Sam, what position are you thinking? Are you thinking like a GM or a C-suite? Is that what you're thinking?
GM, mid-level managers, all that sort of thing, and upwards.
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't have a natural training system within your organization to get people to GM, yes, you'll have to poach. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Because you'll be looking for someone who has some kind of fundamentals that you don't teach. So you're going to have to take them from somewhere else.
Yep. So that's probably
there's a smart way to do it though.
Businesses.
Yeah, I mean, there's a smart way to poach and headhunt. You don't have to be a dickhead about it. You can actually do headhunting in a very ethical and very reasonable way. It's just relationship management, really. You just, keep tabs, run these people and go, hey, would you be interested? Would you give us a day, an hour of your knowledge? That's your skills test on them. You can run a very carefully designed recruitment funnel, knowing that you won't probably hire them for 1 to 2 years.
Yep. Yeah.
It's very effective though, because slow burn recruitment is really good at weaseling people out who know how to just be charismatic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't want to have a charismatic GM who's charismatic to you. They can be charismatic to the team and maybe the consumers, but not to their leadership and directors. You want to find out all faces of them, because all humans have all faces. If you don't see all their faces, you don't know what you're working with. You don't know when they got a short fuse in them.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. But yes, that's typically a poaching. I mean, you can run, depending on the industry, if you have a lot of GMs in the industry, because it's like a lot of, there's a larger concentration of bigger businesses, like maybe 15 to 25. They may have a range of GMs. You could run a Seek advert, but it depends on the volume of the industry. Typically, it's poaching if it's GM or higher.
Yep.
Or internal training is the most common approach.
Yes. Yep. Okay. No, very good. Thank you.
That's right. Don't use recruiters if you can in Australia. They're very expensive. And unless they're really good, which they generally aren't, be very careful.
Yeah, agreed. Wow, yeah, that's really good. Interesting. Stephen, any questions at your end? No, good. Okay, great. I think
no questions. Stephen, what's going on, mate? Like, we're going to get a question from everybody today.
No, I was up at 3 this morning. I'm listening intently, but I'm not able to be vocal.
That's such a good response.
A few more gin and tonics. You might not like the vocality of on a Monday.
I think you can tell that I'm a pretty casual, nonchalant kind of business coach. I don't really care. So I have people swear in sessions all the time. Doesn't bother me.
I honestly, I appreciate your thoughts. Throughout this seminar, so to speak, it's great. I like it.
You haven't got any questions? Because I know a little bit about your business. You haven't got any questions for scaling or anything you want to know about today? Good time to ask me.
Look, I know we had a discussion last time. My issues with that, look, I was, well, we got to what, 6.8 million turnover or something like that, 35 guys. Had a bit of a hit. I'm still recovering mentally of whether I still want to be in this industry or not, which is why I didn't pursue that path, so to speak. I know you were pushing, let's rescale and whatnot. I'm still not sure. Yeah, look, man, there's a bit of bit of emotions I'm hanging on to, a bit of baggage I'm hanging on to. I've got obviously another journey I'm looking forward to. Don't get me wrong, I'm still doing what I do. We still, I'm still making $500,000 a year. It's fine, but do I want to scale again in the same industry with the same, people and whatnot? I'm not 100% yet.
So
I'm
I think
looking forward to another journey.
I might just clarify something. This is actually a really, really good conversation diverter. You'll like this one, everyone. So actually, commonly growth does not always mean you're bigger. Growth sometimes means that despite everything going on around you and your environment, you stay the same and earn the same. That is growth.
Just
Because the
sharper.
external factors have gotten bigger, but you're the same. That's still growth. People forget that. Scaling doesn't always mean I'm going to get bigger and better. Scaling just means you're going to consolidate and you're going to get more time back.
Get
Stuff like
sharper and
that.
whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Business growth is, like I said, I always preach a lifestyle business in Australia. Different. I've got clients who are international and it's a little bit different their cultures. But in Australia, lifestyle businesses are the best. I even had clients who've come to me and be like, hey, I want to grow double. I'm like, do you? And we talked about their goals and what they really want, their family they're going up, mate. Just in a lifestyle business, you're gonna have 10 times less headaches. You'll make 50K more if you double it, 50K more. Doesn't matter. So yeah, no. So just to clarify, yeah, growth is, yeah.
I really like that. What's how do you define a lifestyle business? What just a little bit more detail. Where do you see that?
Lifestyle businesses typically 6 to 8 fee earners, so technicians. You only do 1 day a week in the business, and you take 300 to 400K profit a year. That is a lifestyle business. So pretty much you're doing.
What sort of structure of the business do you need to be able to support that? Like, what does that look like?
Well, typically it's just an owner, one manager, 1 to 2 admins, and those 6 to 8 fee earners. That's it. It's 10 to 11 people. That's it. Most industries can make that happen from an efficiency point of view. Tradies, absolutely. Allied health, absolutely. And allied health have low margins. A physio doesn't actually make that much money. They can make that happen. That's where I started. One benefit from building lots of businesses was when I started in the industry I would look at these other ones like lawyers and they'd build like 600 to 800K by themselves as a technician. I'd be a physio busting my ass like 250, 300. And I would think all the time, I'm like, mate, I'm in the top 0.1% of my industry now for allied health. Imagine if I was a lawyer and I did the same thing. Do you know how much money I would have? Oh my God. I'd be ridiculously wealthy at the same statistic. But that's not the point. The point was like, if you're chasing money, you want to work smart, and smart money is always leveraged money on the hour. You don't do a race to the bottom. You don't do you don't want to scale like a mowing company and do $50 an hour. Like then you're going to have 1,000 times the headaches as someone who does $1,000 an hour. And that's okay. You may like that, but you don't have to do it that way. If you want to have a lifestyle business, you want to think about what do I need and how few people can I make it happen with? And for the purposes of redundancy and buffers and stuff, 6 to 8 people is a very healthy amount. Because you can lose 10 to 20% of your team, 1 to 2 people, and you'll be okay. That's why it's the golden number for lifestyle business Australia. I have lots of statistics to back that up. It's the healthy place to be. If you got 3 or 4, you're in a dangerous place because you can lose 25 to 35% of your work, have no spillover to the other people you're working with, like as in you'll lose those clients because you just don't have capacity for them. That's a dangerous place. The goal is when you start a business to get to 5, 6, 7, 8 technicians as fast as possible. Because then if they 1 or 2 leave, that's okay. You got a breathing time. You can run the marathon, have a break for a second, think about where am I at? What am I doing?
Cool. Interesting. Great perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, Stephen, I hope that helps you. Remember, growth is not about always getting
Yeah.
bigger.
You got me thinking now.
I'm always doing that.
I didn't want to think about it. I'm gonna say, like, quite honestly, fuck you for that. No offense, Harry.
Fair enough.
Like,
Fair
no
enough.
offense intended, but fuck
That's
you.
all right. Bobby would
Hey,
say the same thing. I
James.
talked to him the other day.
Here's one. We've got another issue in the group with a blue collar business. In my mind, there's a bit of a difference between the white collar physiotherapist, the accountant, the lawyer, and then concreters are a different. No offense, Stephen. Are a different. Oh no, offense. I did mean the offense. I mean, concreters, mechanics, they're a different personality, yeah. And then so is then the strategy different?
Business fundamentals transcend all personalities and things. They're just fundamentals. The way you deliver it is what changes. Like, I've got plenty of tradie clients. Obviously, I don't speak very strong corporate on purpose. One, it doesn't help a lot of people, but also it makes it very impersonal. If I throw technical terms and theory at you, like, who gives a shit? More money, or that person's being a bit of a dickhead. Hey, we should probably explain why I'm writing. That's pretty useful. And if I can talk in simple terms, no matter if you're blue collar, white collar, you're gonna get the message. So the answer is, in my opinion, from my coaching style, no, it doesn't matter. In fact, I actually prefer tradies. They're usually not hampered down with thinking they understand financials or business or operation structures. They're willing to listen in a lot of ways. And I go, great, because I don't know anything about how to use a hammer, so thank God for you. I'm not gonna tell you to use a hammer. I don't know. Never picked up a hammer in my life. Look at me. So no, it doesn't matter.
Good one. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's quite an interesting point, because whether you run a business and you're dealing with your staff or you're dealing with clients, when you have those interactions, you need to work with people who can't just tell it how it is, and instead, inflate a lot of things for whatever reason they've got, and just gets everybody bogged down in the crap. Hey, it just makes it so hard.
Yeah, look, and they're really just distractions. I mean, the worst clients I have, like, I've taught so many accounting firms how to scale, so many legal firms how to scale, and like, they're actually sometimes the most painful clients, particularly accountants. Man, like,
Finance,
every
mate.
accountant is a
Finance
business
is
advisor.
fucked.
It just drives me fucking nuts.
I got a finance team at the moment, and it's just a bag of dicks. It's just so hard. This is so hard.
Look, the irony of those industries, though, the irony of those industries is if you actually have a bit of humble and humility and you actually listen to the person who's done what you want to do, you'll beat the shit out of the rest of your competition because they just don't listen. They just don't listen. They go, yeah, I know everything about finance. I'm like, great, you know how to appease at ATO, but have you ever run a forecast regularly? Do you know your predictable lead generators? No? Okay. You're kind of missing the BDM skills here at the level you're at. So do you want to work on those? No, not really. Like, I give people advice all the time for 3 grand. I'm like, that's great. What are your numbers? And then, they either can accept being like, yeah, maybe I'm not where I want to be or not. And if they can, that's great. Can work with them. If they can't, well, go find another coach that's happy to sell you some magical, I'm an accountant business coach and we do magical things and they don't do anything. That's fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. And actually, I think that that AI point you made about AI before really plays into that as well. Like, I think there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, but are just masking with AI. And like, it's crazy. Like, people turning up to meetings, it's like, oh yeah, so that thing you've been talking about the thing, and they have no idea because all they just punched into AI, got like a plan, then they can't articulate it, But those character types who are like that, they've got a new weapon,
Yeah, look, they usually, I'd say most of the time, most of them mean well, they're well intentioned, but the problem is a little bit of knowledge can be a big risk. And that's why accountants can be bad clients because they have a little bit of business knowledge a lot of the time, but they don't actually know how to use it. And it's get used in the wrong way. So, I don't lecture an accounting firm on how to do taxes. I'm not a technician at that. But I go, hey, look, I'm just here to show you how to make more money for your rev and profit margins. Do you want to know what drives those? Do you want to know how your sales works? Do you know how your recruitment works? I think it's really important. So be very careful about having a little bit of knowledge. The classic example in healthcare is you guys just Google, like, oh, I've got a sore shoulder. I've Googled it. AI reckons it's bursitis because I've Googled all the symptoms. And it's exactly that. It's exactly what the picture says. It's bursitis. And then you go to the physio, I was like, oh, no, it could be a few things. Well, it's a little bit dangerous because if they don't fulfill your narrative and you think you didn't get the right session, did you really trust them? You'll find out if it goes away or not, won't you?
Yeah.
But good physios will be like, look, it could be that, but here's what we're going to do to resolve it. And they'll give you a plan. They go, look, it could be yep, what you said, and that's great. You did your research. But they don't necessarily say, yeah, you're 100% right, because they probably have all the contextual knowledge and training. And that's okay. But people have to work together. It's all about communication.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, look, good,
Right.
great business owners, just to finish it, great business owners are good communicators. That's it. They set expectations, they lead with curiosity, they collaborate. You know, I give people, you know, fundamentals in business coaching. Sometimes they go, I don't want to do that. That's not the style of business I want. I go, okay, cool. What style do you want? What do you disagree with there? They'll tell me, I'm like, that's fair. Okay, let's change the angle and the permutation then for your business. It doesn't matter. I can build anything. But did you tell me what you want is the new story? That's okay. I had a particular client. They really did not like having to do like internal ecosystem retention with their clients. They didn't like follow-up calls. It's a classic skill used in many professional services. You don't run follow-up calls, you're just losing money. They just really didn't like it. And despite best practice and lots of growth in that industry for just doing some follow-up calls that are very easy, they didn't want to do it. I said, that's fine, but just so you're well informed, that means your external lead generators have to be 10 times what they are now because your retention is poor. You don't do follow-ups. And they go, well, I'm okay with that. I go, well, that's fine. Okay. Doesn't bother me. I'm not going to take it personally. That's all good. Just know now you have to be the bee's knees at lead generation. That's all. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's a
So
great
pick a
example.
pain. Pick a pain.
Yeah. What industry were they in? What was the farm that they were working with?
That was a physio last year. That was a physio.
Right.
Yeah. So I
So
had
were they
grown them.
existing client? Were they people who visited the physio and they were going to follow up with them afterwards to book another session, or were they potential leads that had called and then?
No, they had seen them already. They didn't want to do any reactivations, which is a shame because people really, you know, it's just like, you know, I'll talk to any kind of, you know, tradie, lawyer, accountant. Like I'm not any of those things, but I would hope they would call me once in a blue moon to kind of remind me what they do because I'm not those things. I don't think about it all the time. I don't go, oh, hey, you know, I haven't run, you know, I haven't fixed the door. And because you didn't call me, I didn't think, oh, actually, you know, can you fix my door? I don't know. But if you don't regularly touch base with people and teach them about what you do, they just forget. You know, you're a tiny drip in people's day, like 1 minute, 30 minutes. It's a tiny amount. People forget, it's so easily forgotten. It's an attention economy. You know, if you're not calling people regularly, you don't really know if you've made a difference in their life. And more importantly, you haven't really had the chance to teach them what you do.
That industry, that almost sounds crazy not to follow up with a client with previous clients because, you know, even like word of mouth is such a great way of getting business. And you know, if you've called to follow up with a client, just that nice touch to check in, see how they're going, even if you're not getting anything financial from them in the future, you know, you might get a recommendation.
It's all about how you control the process, Glenn.
Yeah.
If you just want to have like a good feeling, like you got a good recommendation made in the future, like that's an option. That's a very small business mentality. Or you can engineer the script and process to ensure you get something out of it in the future. So it's your
Can you
choice.
Can you give us an example of that? Like just the.
Yeah, absolutely. Say, Glenn, what's your business?
Foreign exchange, so cross-border payments.
Cool. So say you get a client, they go, hey, I need to transfer 100K AUD and need some euros, right? Yep, I'm going to do a business transaction. You're like, awesome, great. Okay. Hey, it was really smooth, Glenn. Awesome. Thanks so much. You go, yeah, gangbusters. I've made my margin. Everyone's good. Exchange was good. Got them a good deal. I've done a good job. Okay. You don't ever follow up with them. Or if you do, you follow them going, oh, you know, it was good to work with you. You're a really nice guy. Could you recommend someone to me for foreign exchange? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. They're never going to remember that. It's too long and too infrequent. The key to a good relationship is repetition. So if you're not following up like, you know, with AI and you have automations like, you know, 1 week after, 2 weeks after, 1 month after, 3 months after, 6 months perpetually, and you're not angling them towards, hey, you know, do you have any more overseas visits the first, like high frequency stuff in the first 3 months and like really being top of mind for them, you're probably going to miss their chance because they probably are international travelers and stuff too. And then the longer funnel, the nurture, 3-6 months onwards, you should be teaching about what else you do, you know, how else you can help them, other recommendations you can give them. If you're not dropping value in people's minds, you're missing a massive reactivation potential and lifetime value of a customer. You've done them a disservice. I've got a really good story about this. When I was a physio, God forbid, you don't want me to treat you now. Adam's purely a victim now. When I was a physio, I introduced a
He's
new
always
model.
been a victim. Look at him. He's always been a victim.
I introduced a new model. So Champion Health ran a membership model. I started this like 8 to 10 years ago, this model. It's a different model. So you literally pay a very much a reduced fee. So this is private. You get a one-on-one session. You can choose. It's in the power of the client. We still run this model. You can choose 1 week if you want a psychology session or a physio session or whatever. It's your power as a client. Okay? What happened was one day, like I treated this client, I saw them like 12 to 14 times. I fixed their issue. They had this horrendous neck pain. I fixed all their headaches and everything. It was really great. It was a great client. They said to me in the last session, they're like, hey, I saw you have a membership model. And I was like, oh yeah, we do. I didn't think anything of it. They're like, I'm so angry at you. And I was like, taken aback. I was like, what do you mean? I fixed your pain. I've done the work. They're like, you didn't give me the option to even buy that. I didn't even know about it. You didn't tell me. And I was like, well, that's true. You would have saved a little bit of money and you would have got gym classes and extra stuff. And she's like, I was actually more angry you didn't give me the option. I just wanted to know what else you have to offer because I really rate what you did for me. You really changed my life. And I go, man, imagine have someone angry at you when you fixed their problem and they said, I just wanted the options to know what else I could have got from you. That one always sticks out to me. That old lady always sticks out to me. I always think about her. Fucking
That's really
telling me off.
good. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Do you know what? That's really great advice. I'm going to take that on board. For me, especially with AI, like in dealing with commercial systems, there's so many different avenues that you can go down in regards to tech, and what parts of the business you want to integrate in, how you want to integrate, how you want people interacting with it, and what those systems look like. And it's interesting. I've got a client at the moment who has incredibly complex AI from the very back door to the very front door. And there's a part of our offer that we have that I've just never mentioned it to them. And interesting because I was just thinking about it then, and I was like, oh, what about those guys? And I was like, shit, we've done everything but this one thing. And then I was like, well, not everything, but we've thrown everything at it. But this one thing that could, literally add 30% revenue to it. And I've actually just never even mentioned it to them. And the type of business, we've got a great relationship where if there's anything on the table, they'll take it because they know that everything's working really well. So that's a really strong point, James. You've got to give them the opportunity to take the bull by the horns. I get it. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's also a management variation too. The management variation of that is don't deprive people of the lesson. You just deprive them of their education. You never gave them the chance to learn. You didn't even give them a go. How can they get better at the skill you want them to do? It's a classic new manager mistake. They keep taking and keep doing, and they don't actually give you the chance to just have a crack and fail. Happens all the time. Same thing. Like, don't deprive people. Don't cheat them of the lesson. You're just cheating yourself.
Good stuff. Well, we might probably finish there. We were planning on doing some breakout rooms, but under 10 people, we thought perhaps we wouldn't. But mate, from me to you, James, awesome. I really appreciate it. I personally gained a lot from that. I intentionally asked a few questions that would suit me specifically, so took advantage of that, which is great. But yeah, from everybody here and from me, thanks, mate. That was really good and genuinely appreciate it. It's well timed.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I could talk about business forever. I love it. Can't help myself.
Yeah,
I'm an addict.
That's it. All right, well, we'll do same time, same place again. Adam, the next one's booked in, or?
Yep. So that's Tim next session. So talking about the budget and our response and potential opportunities and things to look out for there. So that's a big thing. Actually, Bobby and Tim, do you want to give us like a 30-second summary of what's going to look forward to the next session?
Yeah, so obviously there's a few changes in terms of budget measures, and we've got some draft legislation. So we'll be running through that in terms of capital gains, negative gearing, obviously, but it's captured everything. So it's not just property. There's more tax and everything now, unfortunately. So I'll go through that. I'll go through the changes of what indexation is compared to what the 50% discount is and what the policy behind that is. So I'll run through that. And also I'll talk to a high level of what the trust changes would potentially be. And I think there's going to be a lot of work for a lot of accountants out there if these changes go ahead. As I said at the start, there's been a bit of uproar about the legislation so far. So hopefully there's a back step taken, but yeah, it might be wishful thinking.
Cool. Nice one. All right. Well, thanks guys from me. Always great to see you.
Thanks,
And,
guys. Bobby, just quickly, Bobby did a great job of presenting, by the way. It's the first time I've been on. First time I've been on here. I missed a couple of weeks ago. And James, you're fantastic coach, by the way. Out of first impressions, I'd have no problem recommending someone to you.
Yeah, he'd tell you what he thought, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I think we've all got a good free set. I think we've all got a good free session there.
Yeah, we're all like, I've got my gears are turning right now. I can see Jonathan's doing the same. It's
Gentle,
yeah,
don't
it's
worry,
really good.
gentle.
All right, gents.
All right,
Have a
thank you,
great
everybody.
night.
Thanks
Yeah.
for your attention.
Thanks,
See you
James.
guys.
Thanks, Bobby. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Good night, guys.
Appreciate it.